All right, welcome everybody. So for the past week or so, I haven't been feeling entirely like myself for reasons that I can't really describe. Just don't feel like my usual motivated, creative self. All right, I've been feeling a little down, I guess you can say. I wouldn't really say I feel depressed. I don't typically like to use that word, but just experiencing a bit of a low. It's completely normal. It happens. We go through lows and highs, right? But what I've noticed is that my mind immediately tries to think about how can it fix this low feeling. And it starts latching onto things in the external worlds of, what can I do to feel better or to make myself feel better? Like it feels like the mind kind of feels like something needs to be solved, And then it starts thinking about things like, well, maybe you have to move, maybe you need a new career path, maybe you need to do more with the content. And it starts coming up with all of these solutions. And the biggest one I see is that it makes me feel like I'm not doing enough, like I have to do more or better, make more money, have more people in my life, these sorts of things, right? This is common when we're not feeling great, when we're experiencing feelings of inadequacy. The mind will immediately think that needs to be solved by doing or achieving or finding, right? Some sort of actionable steps. And while a lot of those things might play a role, such as where you live and the people in your life and that kind of thing, it definitely does play a role. But all of this stuff fundamentally isn't going to fix you or how you feel when you're feeling low. That stuff is not going to fix it. It might put a temporary Band-Aid on it. It might bring you a little bit more comfort. It might fix things, for a period of time. But at the end of the day, I discovered that the key was for me to face whatever I was feeling and to surrender to it. So I honed down on my meditation and I really felt what I was feeling. It was really pretty obvious. It was a sort of tension in my body that I was experiencing. And my mind was racing, my body was racing. I haven't been meditating as much lately. And when I just took a couple of days and just focused on that stuff, on just the meditation and the letting go and the self-inquiry, and I did a lot of writing in that time period, I really started to see a huge shift. And nothing changed in my outside external world with where I was, my location, or any of that. That all stayed the same. I fixed everything that was in here. And it was almost like magic. I just started feeling better instantly. I've said before on my videos about the letting go technique is like that stuff really you can see a huge shift almost immediately, On the spiritual path, time is never really the obstacle. It's how much it's your inability to surrender to everything. That's really the obstacle. It's not really about time. It doesn't have to take really long for you to notice a shift in the way that you feel. But anyway, when we're not feeling well, it's a trick of the mind to think that something outside of us needs to be solved. And the way that society is right now doesn't help this at all, because society thrives on making us feel inadequate, on making us feel guilty for maybe living a normal, simple life. There's this whole notion and idea going around, it circulates especially on social media and the internet, that if you're not, doing all of this amazing stuff, if you're not living the best life that you possibly can, if you're not traveling the world, if you're not running a 6-figure business, if you don't have this amazing career and marriage and all of this stuff, that you should feel guilty for that, and you should feel like you're not doing enough. And the reason that they do this on social media is because most of the people that try to push this on you are selling something, I think. So they kind of instill this sense of guilt into you, like you need to do more because then you'll buy whatever they're selling, and you'll come to realize that even with that, you still don't feel any better. You still probably feel inadequate. Because the inadequacy and the insecurities and the feelings that you're not enough are just feelings in your body and thoughts in your mind. And you have to deal with that before trying to fix anything out here. Now, of course, external factors do play a role in this. But I think fundamentally to see a shift in the way that you're feeling, it's not really going to change by necessarily changing your environmental or external factors. It varies person to person, but I would say for most of us, our depression and our anxiety and all that is just something that's a manifestation of our own mind and emotions. It's not really, it doesn't have a lot to do with what's happening out here. Now, if you don't believe me, think about all of these actors who have been in, Hollywood films. They're extremely famous and wealthy. They have everything that you can dream of. And a lot of them are still very depressed. They still struggle with, relationship issues. They still struggle with addiction, alcoholism. They still struggle with feeling inadequate and like they're not doing enough. Even, the greatest people or the people that look like they have it all together and they look like they have everything that you could possibly want, fame, wealth, and all of that, they're still struggling with the same issues that we're dealing with. Authors, actors, musicians, all of them. In order to alleviate the feelings of not feeling enough and feeling inadequate, it's not solved by doing more. It's not solved by achieving more. That is a very temporary fix for it, because it'll make you feel better for a short period of time, and then you're going to go right back to the feelings of inadequacy and low self-esteem and not feeling like you're enough. So when I look at people who are genuinely happy and peaceful, I point to the great sages. I point to the enlightened masters. I point to people like, Thich Nhat Hanh, Ramana Maharshi, monks, spiritual folks, Lao Tzu, right? These were all quiet, peaceful sages who lived very mundane, ordinary lives, you can say. They didn't have a flashy lifestyle. They didn't accomplish a bunch of amazing things. I mean, maybe in their later years with their spiritual work they did, but I would imagine for most of their lives, they lived very simple, repetitive lives of just being alone, meditating. And when I look at them, when I even just look at pictures of them, right? They just look genuinely peaceful and happy. And I want to follow in those footsteps because I do think, not just for myself, but for the benefit of the whole world, I do think that living a more peaceful life, free of all of these societal burdens of always having to compete and do more and achieve and just kind of letting go of all that. I do think that that's actually where the answers to a lot of what we're searching for is found. True happiness will never be found in the world. And I think that the highest wisdom is to revert that longing for happiness away from the external world and into your own being. Because like I said, it doesn't matter how much you do, it's just never going to feel enough. You're always going to try to be measuring up to the people around you, or once you get to a new level of wealth or status, then there's going to be people up there that you're trying to measure up to, and it just never ends. It's just this vicious cycle, and you just do this your whole life until you die, and you've never got to really taste true bliss. See, bliss isn't this miraculous sort of drug feeling. Bliss is just being completely content with the present moment, no matter what's happening in it. So maybe there's a lot of value in just being okay with being ordinary, right? We all have this sense of guilt for living a normal life, or living an ordinary life, for doing the same things every day, maybe just working a normal job, seeing the same people. The only time that that's not okay is if you're miserable doing it. But maybe you enjoy that. And maybe you just have to shift your perception a little bit and learn to love the monotony of whatever you're doing. To just love the fact that you have a normal routine. Maybe living that normal, everyday, kind of boring, ordinary life, maybe that's in alignment with the Tao or in alignment with the universe. Maybe that is sort of how the world is supposed to flow. Maybe it's not about trying to force yourself to be flashy or constantly striving to be perfect and to be the best and to do the most that you can absolutely do. Maybe it's actually about just being okay with a regular kind of life. Maybe peace is found in just sort of surrendering to that everyday flow, but really learning to enjoy it and respect it. Because we create this huge resistance, and we're always trying to force ourselves to do more and to do better, right? even myself, like I do it with my content and stuff and my writing. I love to write. That's been my thing lately. But even if I go a couple of days without writing, or if I don't write as well as I would like to, or sometimes if I just write for my own sake and not because I'm going to post it or anything, like I almost start feeling guilty. Like, I think that all of this social media stuff makes us feel that way. Like if every second of our day is not is not going towards some sort of side hustle or some side income or our career, like we should feel guilty for that. But maybe it's about just enjoying life while we're here in this very short period of time. With a balance, obviously. You can't just do whatever you want all the time. There has to be a nice balance of work, but maybe we don't have to be miserable and hate our lives all of the time. And I know a lot of people will say, oh, well, you know, my job, and I hate my job, and it's so hard in this capitalistic society. Well, it really depends on your situation. Maybe there is a need for change there. But again, maybe it's a matter of minimizing and simplifying your life a little bit more, and maybe you don't have to work that specific role or position. Maybe it's a matter of taking a step back and finding something that's more meaningful towards you. See, that's the trap we fall into, right? We work our way up so much, and then you're kind of trapped in this certain position or level of status in life, because now not many people are going to be willing to go down, especially now you have kids and you have this big mortgage and this, you know, sports cars, whatever the fuck else people get. And now you're trapped, and now you're stuck just living this very materialistic life where you always have to be striving for more and you have no choice. It could still be done in those situations too, but it's easier when you're, you know, really, if you're really committed to the path and you don't have a lot of attachments to the world, it's definitely a lot easier to do, I would imagine. You have to understand that all of those experiences, like even the greatest thing ever, like even fame or traveling the world or running some amazing, you know, business or something, like the feelings you get from all of that are only temporary and they're not going to last forever. Even some of the greatest things I've done, eventually they just become something of the past. So you can't latch on to that kind of stuff thinking that you're going to solve your feelings of inadequacy through that stuff. Because all you're really doing is just measuring up to everybody else around you in a very superficial way. See, the answers are actually within you, within your own being, through the letting go technique, through regular meditation practice, through self-inquiry, through breath work, this sort of stuff. That's why all of the yogis and sages and monks and people who walk the spiritual path found true happiness. They didn't look for it outside, they looked for it within themselves. So, give yourself permission to just be ordinary. It's okay. Nobody cares that much. I promise everybody is just trying to step on each other to make it to the top, and it's all bullshit. And the more you can get comfortable with not playing that game, the more happier you will be, I can almost assure you. So, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next video.